Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Metro 2033 Redux Good Ending walkthrough, and this is mission 19, also known as Alleyway. And we have once again ventured into the outside world and left the relative safety of the Metro. So hopefully you have stocked up on filters before venturing out here. Either way, there are quite a few filters you can pick up along the way, which will make things significantly easier since you will choke if you run out. But this mission, all in all, is quite easy, and I actually found a way to make it easier, because when I have played this game before, you will go into a fight, because we are heading for the library. And you will go into a fight outside library, and I've always used quite an aggressive technique, running around outside, around the entrance, trying not to get overrun by enemies. But while I was recording this, I realized, or I found, actually a new way of taking on that fight, which, in my opinion, made it significantly easier. And when you get out of this sewer tunnel and we get up to the side of the library, you need to be cautious. First, here is a tripwire, so we're gonna cut that so we don't die in an explosion. And I want you to look up, right there at the edge of the ceiling, because if you move too fast, that side of the wall will fall down and crush you. You see it crumbling? And it's timed in a sense so that if you just walk out here, it will land completely. It will land on you and kill you instantly. So be cautious, stay back, wait for it to fall. Feel free to back down into the tunnel as you see it falling so you don't take any damage from the rubble. And here is the fight I was talking about. You do get some downtime before things start kicking off. And I like to run up here and try to pick up a few goodies. I'm gonna loot this corpse, and I think it's when you get to the door you will trigger the fight. Because we will head for the entrance, trying to get in, and you start to hear growling from Natas coming towards you. And as I said, on my recording run, I realized that I could run back to this area, which makes this fight significantly easier. You're gonna have to go up to the entrance to trigger the fight, because the AI has no idea where I am right now. I think there are 2 mutants just going around by the door, because that is where the fight is intended to take place. So the AI isn't quite sure how it's supposed to handle this situation, so I'm gonna go up and try to draw their attention to my position. And what's so great about being where I just was is that all the enemies will come from the front, so you can draw them towards you and just plow their asses, and that sounded that sounded a bit obscene. But you can mow them down basically, because all of them will be running straight towards you. If you get a little bit unlucky, which I did towards the end of this fight, one of them will flank you, so you will run the risk of getting swarmed. But you should have significantly less problems. But while we're in this fight, because this fight does take a little while, and I don't know if it's time sensitive or if it is kill sensitive, so to speak, because 2 Spartan Rangers are on their way to help you, and I don't know what triggers it, if you have to kill a certain number of mutants or if it's just time based. But either way, since this fight is going on, I'm gonna tell you a little story about what I did this morning. And I'm gonna take you back in time a few months back. Because last year for my birthday I got a Razer Raiju Pro gaming controller for my PS4 from my lovely girlfriend as a birthday gift. And if you follow me on Twitter, you may know that that controller broke down after 4 months. the X button and the circle button started sticking. I don't know if the springs got worn out or what happened, but for some reason I remember I was playing Darksiders at the time, and the X button is quite important in that game because you use that to jump, and you do a lot of jumping. It's, for those of you who haven't played Darksiders, it's like a mix between Zelda and God of War is the best description I can come up with at the top of my head. It's set in a post-apocalyptic world, much like this game, but you play as one of the four horsemen of war. But either way, I wasn't supposed to talk about Darksiders. Instead, I was going to talk about the fact that my controller broke down. So I went back to GameStop, where my girlfriend had purchased it for me, and I got a new controller since I still had a receipt and it was still had a warranty on it and all that good stuff. Got a new controller, worked great, and it broke down yesterday, actually. The R2 button, the spring that controls the R2 button, is completely worn out. So once again I had to go back to GameStop, and the nice guys working there, they didn't have one in stock, but they were gonna contact another store and have them ship a new controller to them. So I'll get a new controller in a few days, and hopefully that one will last a little bit longer than these two. I think it's quite amazing, since these controllers are aimed at pro gamers, as it said in all the promo material for them, and it's invented with the help of pro gamers and whatever. And I haven't played super much. I do play a lot of video games, because that's what I do in my spare time, even when I'm not recording walkthroughs for the channel. But I think that a controller that costs more than twice as much as a regular controller should hold out a little bit longer than, in the first case, 4 months, in the second case 6 months. Don't you think? Luckily for me, I'm very good at keeping my receipts and keeping track of all my stuff, because also it is, as I said, a really expensive controller. It costs 1,700 crowns, which is around, I think, $170, $180, and 160, 170 British pounds. So it's really expensive, and I'm not quite sure if it's just me being unlucky and having gotten two faulty ones. I tried googling for people who have experienced problems with the Razer controllers, but I couldn't find any info about people having the same problems that I'm experiencing. Some people have had problems with lag when they hook them up to their PCs and stuff like that, but since PC is one of the few platforms that I don't play on, it's not a problem for me. It's always worked great on PS4, except for the fact that the springs controlling the buttons seem to be, should we say, a bit lacking in quality. And as the saying goes, third time's the charm. I'm gonna get hopefully my new controller at the beginning of next week. Depends on how far it takes for the other store to ship it out to my local GameStop. But if that breaks down after just a few months, I think I'm gonna give up and just get my money back and buy a different controller. I've been looking a little bit at the Nacon Revolution, but I settled for the Razer because I have an Xbox Elite controller as well, and I think that is a beast. And I just wish that they would have designed this the same way as they did that one. And I'm really surprised, because as far as I know, Razer is a well-known company, a well-known brand when it comes to gaming things. as far as I know, they mainly focus on PC gaming, but from what I know, their gaming mouses and keyboards are high-end products. So I don't know what the problem is with them making gamepads. But I will keep you updated about when I get my new controller, and hopefully its lifespan will last a little bit longer than the first two I've gotten. And if not, I'm gonna say goodbye to Razer and switch to a different brand probably. Because the regular Sony controllers are really durable. I've never had any problems with the two regular gamepads I have. And the reason I wanted to get a Pro controller was the fact that it has those extra buttons on the backside, because I like to map R3 and L3. You know, the two buttons when you push down on the analog sticks. I like to map them to the controllers or to the buttons at the back. And also the fact that you can set it to hair trigger mode, so you get quicker response on R2 and L2, which is really great when you're playing shooting games, because the R2 buttons on the regular gamepads are quite, how should I say this, deep? If you know what I mean, you can push it in quite far. As another YouTuber said, you can push it down and send an email to your entire family about you pressing a button before it hits the end of the spring. But either way, going back to Metro, I feel I've been ranting on about my controller, but I feel a bit frustrated because two controllers breaking down within the span of a year. But I like to give credit where credit is due, so thank you to the nice guys at GameStop who are really helpful and really go that little extra mile. I know a lot of people don't like GameStop, and in a sense I can understand why, because they are expensive when it comes to games and you don't get very much money when you trade in games. But I think the professionalism that I have always been met with when I do my shopping there, or if I ask them for help about anything, it's worth the extra money. And also, it is a specialized store. All they sell is video game, or used to sell is video games and consoles. Now it's a lot of different types of loot, like coffee mugs and backpacks and whatever. But whenever you have such a limited span of products, you need to set your prices higher, because sure, they sell 150 Call of Duty free every day, but in their stock they also have games that they sell maybe like 2 or 3 copies of per day, and those Call of Duties have to cover for the ones that don't sell so much, but some people want them, so they still keep them in stock. But it's up to each consumer whether you want to support GameStop or not. I do, and I will continue to do so. And if you don't do it, then that's up to you. But we are getting close to the end of Alleyway, and we're gonna head into the next level called the Depository. And that's where we're gonna face off against the librarians. So I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.